It's that time of the week we talk really cool stuff. You know what? Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer, friend of the show, sponsor of the show, on the show. Crypto's out of control. And for whatever reason, Trump's a crypto bro.
He is. He is a crypto bro. And I've been asked a lot about this. I think it's just reflective of, I was just watching an interview actually on Javier Milei, right? The president of Argentina. And brilliant guy, by the way. I think he's doing great stuff down there. And you know what's funny? I'm not a huge fan of crypto. I think it's got incredible. I think it's got fascinating technology that I think is going to.
I think the technology is more important than the actual cryptocurrency, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think so. And the reason I will say it is, and this is going to tick off some people just because you've got hardcore crypto people, but for those people that study and observe financial markets, you look at the crypto market, it has all the hallmarks of just a classic financial bubble. You look at MicroStrategy stock, you know, the one I'm talking about, MicroStrategy with Michael Saylor as a CEO. Yeah. I don't think so. That stock is going up 4x the price of Bitcoin, but it's going up because they own Bitcoin. Their business is fairly inconsequential, right? So what he's doing is he is levering up his balance sheet with convertible debt. Okay, that's going to get converted into equity at some point, right? Because it's convertible. So that means all the shareholders are just sitting there waiting for this deluge of paper to come and dilute their shares down to a fraction of what they're currently worth. And he's using all that money to load up with Bitcoin, right? So here's the crazy thing, and this is always one of the hallmarks of bubbles. You know for a fact at some point, the bill on that debt comes due at a time when Bitcoin is down. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
So now you've got this asset on the balance sheet, and here's the tricky thing about you levering up to buy an asset. When the asset drops in price, the liability of the corresponding debt does not, right? So at some point, you've got a mismatch on your balance sheet, okay? And that's a matter of time, right? That's a matter of time. And what's crazy is people are bidding this up because it owns Bitcoin, and the performance of the underlying stock is up 4x that of Bitcoin. It's just a dream machine. It's just complete nonsense. Like, you look at the shareholders of Master and you're like, if you're that excited about Bitcoin, just go buy the Bitcoin by yourself and don't get diluted down to nothing when all those convertible shares convert.
Yeah, you know what I think? Bitcoin, like a lot of the crypto stuff, I think it scares people. And you know what? One thing, and you probably know this too, because I deal with a lot of people who are in crypto, and you know, people who are friends of mine. There is a certain sense of arrogance and, like, you know, it's not a very welcoming. If you're not part of the group, you're not part of the group. And I think a lot of people, they want to own some of it, but they always feel like I'm not cool enough for the club.
Yeah. I get that all the time. They're like, you just don't understand it. And I'm like, bro, let me tell you something. I was sitting in my office the day that it launched in 2009. I can tell you exactly where I was. I was there watching the first transaction. A dude bought a pizza for 60 Bitcoin. Okay, like I was right there, and I was fascinated by it at the time, and I still am. I think it's an incredible. I think what they created is amazing. I love the potential of it. I love what it can potentially do. I love the ethos behind it, right? Having a durable store of value that some government or some unelected bureaucrat can't dilute down to nothing because they can't discipline themselves to stick to a budget, right? I love that idea. Here's the problem. That defunct financial instrument called the US dollar has a couple things going for it that Bitcoin doesn't. A, the largest military in the history of humankind, right? B, the largest taxable economic base in humankind. C, the largest natural resource base in humankind. Okay, so you can talk about the dollar not being worth anything compared to your code that you keep in an electronic wallet on the internet. But you know, and that's the other part of the story. It doesn't even make sense. If you hear people that are, oh yeah, the dollar is going to go sideways, Bitcoin's going to become the national or the currency of the world, right? Okay, that's literally not possible. And the reason it's not possible is because what Bitcoin is good at, meaning you cannot have a deflationary asset be the cornerstone of a fractional reserve banking system. You can't do it.
Yeah,
it'll blow up in a very short period of time. Why? Imagine for those of you at home, imagine if you took out a mortgage denominated in Bitcoin on your house. Let's say you bought a house back in 2013 for 500 grand. Back in 2013, 500 grand got you 8,000 square foot, 5 acres, and a pool out back, right? Compared to what it gets you now, right? So you take out the $500,000 worth of mortgage payments. Now your house is doubled. So you're sitting there thinking, I've done really good, right? Here's the problem. Bitcoin is up 20 or 30x since then. Okay, so your house is doubled in price, but the amount you owe it, because you don't get paid in Bitcoin, you get paid in dollars, right? That's your wage, right? The value of your dollar hasn't gone up 20 or 30 times since you did it. So now all of a sudden, now all of a sudden, the $500,000 worth of Bitcoin you loaned is worth 15 million and you got a problem, right? Yeah. So you look at people and you're like, listen, I understand what you're saying. The problem is, and here's why I think crypto is doing so well. Crypto is the perfect financial coat hanger, right? Meaning whatever we want to put on it, however we want to dress it up, whatever we want it to make, whether it's we are disgusted by the level of government spending, whether it's because we think the dollar is going to collapse, whether we just think it's really cool and it's gone up a lot and we want to own it. Bottom line is you can kind of extrapolate whatever value you want onto this thing. It's like a pet rock almost, right? Name it whatever you want, put it on a leash, do whatever you want, right? Use your imagination. And I'll just tell you now, that being said, I was telling people to stay away from Bitcoin when it was $1,500. So, now it's 93 grand. So, but I'll just tell you how these things end, and it's going to end with these things being worth virtually nothing. And you're going to hear the people like Mike Saylor on the, on YouTube telling you how it's going to 13 million and 9 million and blah, blah, blah. You know what? Bernie Madoff said his fund was going to 100, to $1 trillion too. So Kathy Wood said ARK was going to average 50% a year. Guys, you're seeing all the signs.
Said that she had figured out the magical cure for everything, and it was in one little thing. Guess what? She didn't.
Yeah, shocker, right? Shocker. So look, I will just continue to say, you have a really scary, dangerous dynamic going on in this market, that fundamentals have been replaced with price action, meaning if the price of something goes up, then that's all anybody needs to know. Now it's a real asset. I had an older client of mine today tell me that he was liquidating half of the most conservative, secure part of his portfolio because he wants to start day trading on his own.
Oh, geez.
Right. And I'm sitting there going, okay, first of all, everybody that comes to us is for risk management. Second of all, I'm advising you not do this. Third of all, the reason you hired me was, if you think about it, right? The reason you hire a wealth manager is because by default, you're going to listen to them when you disagree, right? Like that's right. If you're only going to use them when you agree with them, then you don't need to hire them, right? The only time you need a wealth manager is when he's disagreeing with you, right? Like, so, and you get in these points.
He wants to, like, is there something specific? He's like, I've got all this money and I just want to have some fun, or I don't go to Vegas, or there's something I've always wanted to try?
No, it's just, this is what happens, right? It's the siren song of easy returns. Everybody thinks that they can be a millionaire, and everybody thinks that, that they're going to give it a try. And they talk to a couple of their buddies, and their buddies only tell them about the winning stock trades, right? That's the other side of it. It's like, oh, I made this much. They don't tell you about the two stocks that they lost 93% on.
It's like gambling, right? I made $350,000 last weekend. Yeah, but it cost you $1 million over the 3 weekends before.
Right. I hit it big, man. I hit it big. Well, we're gonna forget about the forget about the $1 million marker that I still owe the Sands, right?
Yeah.
So this is just, you're getting into a dangerous time. I think a lot of this stuff could go a lot higher based on the craziness that's going on. But at the same time, Chad, I will tell you that I think you've got a really interesting setup right now, because the valuations are absurd at the top of this market, especially with the trends that those stocks are on. You've got the dollar index was pushing 107, which you break above 107 and things start going sideways in a big way. You got the 10-year treasury pushing 4.5. Remember, these are all the factors that were in play in 2022 that knocked the NASDAQ down 32%. Now, all of a sudden, the market's looking at it like it's nirvana. I think especially for the popular tech stocks, a lot of the crypto stuff, you need to be careful here. You need to be careful.
Talking to Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer, Bulwark Capital. What do you make of Trump's picks so far, in particular in the financial sector?
So far, I love it. I'm really interested to see where he's at for Treasury Secretary. The commerce one, I haven't dug into it a little bit. That was a little bit weird to me. What was the name? I'm blanking out. Who did he pick for Commerce Secretary?
Let's take a look because we can look at it here. It's
another,
he's made some interesting picks.
Yeah. The Gates one is really the only one that's a head scratcher to you and to me. You and I discussed it offline, but
he picked Howard Lutnick.
Lutnick, yeah.
Who's interesting because he's really into using tariffs as a, as he explains over and over again. You guys are all freaking out about tariffs. Everybody tariffs us. We got to figure out how we could use it and leverage everybody else against, what they've been doing to us, because we just been really nice. We'll let you do anything you want to us.
Look, I said it when we first put tariffs on China. I don't understand the hysteria around this other than the fact that Trump is the one that introduced it. I think if Biden would have brought up the idea of tariffs, the media would love him, right? Like, meaning, look, I don't want tariffs either, but we didn't make that choice. Okay, we're not the ones that are running around throwing tariffs on everybody else. The fact that you're going to let people tariff us, and I'll just tell you from the inside, inside out, and I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know. The only reason why you would allow another corporation, another country to tariff the goods of the greatest consumer market in the history of mankind, the United States consumer market. So they're going to tariff our goods that are going into theirs, but we're not going to tariff their access to the richest consumer market in the history of mankind. Why? The only reason you could possibly support that is if you are wholesale into the dissolution of borders and sovereignty. That is the only reason. Otherwise, it makes zero sense. You talk about fair trade, right? Fair trade is when if they're tariffing us, we're going to tariff them right back. Now, here's the interesting thing. I'll make a prognostication about this. We'll see. Probably not a good idea because then you set up yourself up to be wrong. But I'll be surprised if I am wrong on this. I think the number one kickback or the number one feedback loop that's going to come from tariffs, us instituting them on our end, are going to be other people dropping them on theirs.
Yeah,
I think that'll be the number one.
I think so, because nobody wants to get into a trade war. Because the reality is, they're going to go and say, look, okay, you know what? That's fine. If that's the way you want to play, we'll see who can last the longest. Because at the end of the day, we could shut our doors and our borders and we could live just as well as we do now. So the decision is yours. Do you want us to consume your goods? Stop screwing over our workers and taking markets away from our people over here.
Yeah, and not to mention all the ancillary pressure you can put on them as well, right?
Yeah.
Because, especially with Trump in office, you're already seeing the way that people are, interacting and with him and interacting with our government. It's a much different approach, right? All it takes is, maybe this guy isn't coming along and he's bucking you. Well, you can triangulate. You can call his buddy and go, hey, you're still doing business with him? All right, well, if you don't stop, it's going to get weird between us, right? And then you just triangulate that pressure and you'll watch them fold like a cheap lawn chair. So,
Trump is the way that they, Trump, nobody respects. No. What it is they don't want to deal with him because they understand he's going to come over there and he wants something. With Biden, he figures it's going to be status quo. I don't have to worry about it. It's all going to be the same. It's going to be nice at ease and I'll get what I want from the old guy. With Trump, he may walk in and give you what you want. He may walk in the next day and say, you know what? I'm pulling everything from yourselves and screw you guys.
Yeah. And he's a wild card and he's not a part of that whole, globalist cabal that I think that they've all gotten so comfortable with and they've all gotten so, intertwined with. Yeah. And rich, 100%. And that's why I'm just sitting there watching Mitch McConnell still making his comments. And I'm just like, Mitch, go retract yourself back into your shell and just go away, please. Just go to a swamp somewhere.
Chief Investment Officer, Bulwark Capital. People want to reach out to you, get that second opinion. What do you think we're doing in 2025? What's your gut say? We talk about it, but is there a market or two? Is there a sector that you think is going to take off?
For all kinds of reasons, the uranium sector just looks so good to me for such a long period of time. It'll be volatile, but you've got such a build out that has got to happen on that side of it. And you've got so much more uranium that needs to get sourced. And that's going to be a hot market for a while. It really is. It'll be loud, it'll be volatile, but that really is exciting to us. Anybody that's in the business of building nuclear reactors, that's really interesting to us. I think that's really exciting. I think that, I think that there's a lot of, with all of this irrationality going on in the market, I think there's a lot of really compelling valuations out there, generally speaking. I think nat gas is really compelling, which is weird to say. I think everything that is going on right now is pointing to greater, massively increased exports of nat gas to Europe, which,
what they've already come out and said, we don't have to buy all of our stuff from Russia. We can buy from you guys. Of course you can.
Yep. So that's going to be huge. And here's the real opportunity from that. The real opportunity from that is, the price per cubic foot or millionth cubic foot or MCF or whatever there are a bunch of different ways to measure, nat gas, but the cubic foot measurement is the most widely used. So if you look at the price per cubic foot in Europe, I think you're still right around $15. Here in the United States, you're like 2.5. Okay. So what that means is those prices need to come together. Right. And so we think the long-term price, a place where it's going to find stability is somewhere in that $6 to $8 a range deal. And if you're talking about $6, $7 nat gas, the really compelling thing too is a bunch of these energy companies that have significant nat gas holdings because of how bad nat gas has been for so long. When you go look at these balance sheets, these guys are holding these nat gas assets at zero value, meaning the market capitalization isn't giving them any credit for those nat gas assets, even though some of them are cash flowing. Well, when they start cash flowing at 3 to 4x what they currently are, I think that's going to be a massive opportunity, and I think those things are going to get re-rated in a big way.
Right on. Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer. Tell everybody they get a hold of you, get that second opinion as they get ready for 2025.
Yeah. The easiest way to get a hold of us is go to bulwarkcapitalmanagement.com or just Google Know Your Risk Radio Podcast. We're on once a day with our daily dots, about 25, 35-minute segment, summarizing everything that happened in that day, economics-wise and finance and government-wise. And then we do our 1-hour show once a week. But yeah, that's the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Right on, brother. Good talking to you, man. We'll do it again after the holiday.
All right. Fun as always, man. Have a good Thanksgiving. We'll see you soon.
You too.
Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. Any references to performance of securities are thought to be materially accurate, and actual performance may differ. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 24308.